Here, here. Well, now, come. I talked to you on the phone a minute ago, and I know you speak very well with your feet, but can't you speak on the microphone?
Oh, sure, Kay. I was only kidding. Well, how are you, darling?
Well, I'm just fine, especially today.
Well, so am I. You know, it really is swell to be back home again. I'm going around seeing all my friends, and I'm especially happy to see you.
Well, thanks, Hal. That's nice of you to say that. What do you think of our BlueBird Club? Had you heard of it before?
Yes, Kay. I've heard a great deal about it, really.
Well, now, you've been away a long time.
I've been away a long time, but I've certainly heard a lot about the club. It's doing marvelously, and I know they're all very proud of you.
Well, I'm very proud of all of our members who are members of the BlueBird Club. You know, we have two kinds of members. We have stay-at-home and gadabouts. And we like for all people to enjoy our programs. We who stay at home most of the time depend on our people who can, be nice to us, you know. They make our lives much happier. And most of the people who listen have a membership certificate. That's this I'm going to present to you later on.
Oh, really? Well, I'll be very happy and very honored to have it, Kay. I really will.
And I hope you noticed our gallery of pictures in there.
Yes, you know, as a matter of fact, when I came in, that's the first thing that attracted my eye. I was going to ask you about that.
Well, we want your picture to add to that collection.
Well, I'd be delighted to give it to you.
Well, that'll make it very nice.
Incidentally, Kay, before we go any further, before you interview me, may I ask you a few questions?
Why, sure.
No, I'd like to know a little more about the club.
All right.
Would you tell me a little more about it?
Well, how about a year and a half, or a little bit more than that ago, I decided I'd like to go on the radio. And there was a song that ran through my mind. The name of it was And Still the Bluebird Sings. And I thought, well, that's a pretty good idea for a program because things may happen and unfortunate things, things that come into our lives that we just have to overcome. And still we can find happiness. And the Bluebird stands for happiness. So I thought if I could go on the air and preach that little sermon, maybe it would help a lot of other people.
Oh, I think it's wonderful.
Well, here, you're interviewing me. I think it's time I interviewed you. But first, let's have a little bit of music. You know, we have a vice president of our BlueBird Club, Arthur Chandler, Jr., and he's going to play Blue Champagne. Do they have any of that over at the Glen Rendezvous?
Well, I think they do. I think they have a little
blue.
Champagne. I don't know how blue it is. It may be very gay. They may call it gay champagne.
Well, on the BlueBird Club, it's blue. So, all right, Arthur, let's hear Blue Champagne. Thank you, Arthur. And now we're going to find out more about you, Hal. You're a native of Cincinnati. What part of Cincinnati do you come from?
Well, I was born and raised in Cheviot, Ohio, which I've always called Cincinnati because
certainly.
When I lived there, it was a suburb of Cincinnati. Now I understand it's a city. It's grown up quite a bit.
Well, you went to school here, just as other boys and girls.
Oh, yes.
Here.
Oh, definitely, yes. I went to St. Martin's School, and then I went to St. Xavier Prep for a little while.
Oh, I see. Well, now, did you start dancing when you were a little tot?
Oh, when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, Kay, yes. As a matter of fact, I've really been dancing all my life, so to speak. I started over here at Jimmy Kinsello's for a while, and then from Jimmy's place, I went over to Pep Gold's and studied there with Pep for a while. And, of course, used to play a lot of amateur nights around here, don't you know, and try to make myself a few dollars. Occasionally I'd win, and occasionally I wouldn't. But anyhow, I got a break here at L.D. Wilson's Theater in Covington, Kentucky. I won an amateur contest there, and L.B. put me on for a week there as guest star. Well, I got a phenomenal sum of money, which was exceedingly high for me. It was $50, and I thought, my gosh, if you make $50 like that, that's for me. So I went into show business.
Well, there's a little story someone told me about a little toy that you had that danced. Now, is that true?
Well, yes, there's a gentleman right over here, Ben Rothard, who really was the instigator of that. The Moose Lodge had a Christmas fund, and they used to have a little show which Mr. Rothard used to put on. So Ben got the idea that I should dance like a little colored boy on those little tin cans, you know, a little
yes.
tin piano, rather.
Uh-huh.
And that was for me. That's what I used to do. I used to dance like a little colored boy on.
Well, I bet that little toy was a replica, maybe, of
Okay.
Uncle Billy.
Well, Uncle
know
Billy
Uncle
is a very, very dear friend of mine.
Uh-huh. He certainly is of ours, too. Well, before we talk more about Uncle Billy, though, were you discovered here in Cincinnati and someone urged you to go to New York, or did you just make up your mind to go?
No, well, I think Ben had a lot to do with that, of course. When I was working out with Ben thought I should go to New York and try my luck. And, of course, my mother was 100% for the idea, and we went to New York in 1927. Of course, I was too young then to go on the stage, and I spent a season there. It was the summer, not a season. Came back and went back to school. But a few years later, in 29, I went to New York again, and while I was there, I got a job with Betty Davis. That's this little act that she called the Future Stars Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
And in that act, just from the note, little Jackie Heller, who was a very good friend of mine.
Oh, we had Jackie on this
last
program.
night, as a matter of fact. Passing through on his way to Chicago.
Uh-huh.
And we had Martha Ray, Bill and Betty Epson, and myself. And I was discovered really in the Palace through Benny Davis, when the Palace Theater was the top in New York, playing 2 shows a day. And I went to a show called The Gang's All Hurricane, which wasn't a very big hit, but fortunately enough for me, it was, because Mr. Ziegfeld saw me and signed me for the Follies. Of course, that has been the highlight of my career, I believe, the Follies in 1931. I was young, just 16 when I went to the show, and very fortunate to be with Mr. Ziegfeld.
Well, you've been on the stage in musical comedies, and you've also been in the movies, haven't you?
Yes, I have. First picture I made with Harold Kuhn. A lot of people today call me Kuhn as a nickname.
I can see how you would fit that role just exactly. Yeah.
So early in the morning? Well, it's early in the morning for me, though, if I didn't get up until about 11:30.
Well, have you been on the radio very many times?
Oh, yes, I have been on numerous times. I was on Dolly programs for a couple of weeks there, a little guest star. And, of course, I've been in interviews quite a bit. And I think I like radio. I think it's swell. I don't think I'm well equipped for it right now, but maybe later I will be.
I think your voice is very good for radio.
Well, thank you very much.
I recommend you anytime.
Thank you.
Well, now, you've told us about all your experiences on the radio, movies, and stage. How about...
Now the double time. Now the triple time.
Slow down. Well, gee, I think all our BlueBird members are going to be tap dancers for a while.
Oh, I hope so. What do they do?
Well, those are fine steps, Hal. I imagine that you're just the top. You know all the steps that there is to know, don't you?
Yes, I do, Kay. I know practically all the steps are to know. Of course, getting back to Uncle Bill, you and I used to dance quite a bit together.
Mm-hmm.
Bill took a great liking to me when I first went to New York, and we used to go in a rehearsal hall together and exchange steps.
Mm-hmm. Well, I bet you really fly when you dance on those...
A little more room, I can get around a little bit better.
Well, I mentioned flying there. You were talking about flying before I went on the air.
Yes.
Is that your hobby?
That's a hobby of mine, yes. Flying is a hobby of mine, also golf and bowling.
Oh,
I don't possess to be a very good golfer, and I don't tell my score to everybody. I will to you. 150.
Oh. Well, half that you'd be just fine.
Half that would be pretty good, wouldn't I?
Well, we were talking about flying. Our Bluebirds might like to know, too, that Uncle Phil is going to be a soloist in the flying field, starting tomorrow.
Yes, he's going to have a solo tomorrow. He's going to have some figure eights and some tight spins and some side splits for him, and some 380s and some 360s in there.
Well,
Good luck to you, Phil.
I get letters from a boy who says, he's man of Bluebird Club, he says, keep him flying.
Keep him flying. That's the slogan.
Well, Hal, it's been wonderful having you here today, and we certainly enjoyed all these lessons and finding out more about you. We feel that you're really a member of our club already because you're a native of Cincinnati. And we want to present you with a certificate that we promised, our BlueBird membership certificate.
Well, thank you, Jane. I'm really deeply honored, and I shall always have it in treasure. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Hal Leroy. And when you come back to Cincinnati, always remember the welcome mat is open here at the BlueBird Club. Well, it's time to say goodbye, and I'm going to tell you next Tuesday about going to the Cincinnati Symphony concert. I'm going this Saturday night, and it's going to be a real thrill for me, and I want to tell you all about it next Tuesday. So, until Tuesday then, the clouds may hide their sun on high, but the bluebird sings and sings. Goodbye.